Dear brothers and sisters, this Sunday we have Christ the King Sunday, which brings the year to an end, the liturgical year. And this whole business of kingship is this really fascinating to me. You know that originally in the Old Testament, the people were nomadic. And they were in their tribes, and whenever they had to deal with some big national issue, the elders would get together. They would select a warrior to go out and do battle, and then come back, and then they would all do their tribe thing. They didn't trust kings. You see, kings were a pagan idea, and all the city states around them, you had this little kingdoms and big kingdoms, and in the mind of the these nomadic tribes of Abraham and his kin, it's all bad news. Okay, so kingship was inherently corrupt. It's very interesting that God judged Israel through judges when they first came into the land, but the people didn't like that. Okay, they wanted to have a king to be just like all the other nations. That's bad, okay, because in the Bible, God selects us to be different from all the nations and to convert the nations by holiness. So God let the people have their way, okay? And so we had Saul, turned out to be a corrupt king. And then God chose David, and that's what we have in our readings for this week, where the tribes come together and say, let's make David our king. And David was a king after God's own heart, but I'll tell you what, when you study closely the story of David, it doesn't end well, okay? And that God promises that he will sustain his kingdom forever. That's a grace. But if they are non-believing and if they become corrupt, then he's going to punish. Okay, and the whole story turns out like, the kingdoms fall apart, and we see that the bright side of the whole thing is that Jesus, given the promises to David, does arise from the seed of David and becomes king. Okay, so kingship. I'm a romantic, okay? I love studying history, and I like the idea of kingdoms, okay? Just like it. However, I'm an American, and we kicked out the kings. I see these signs saying, no king everywhere. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics like that, but you get a sentiment, right, of we Americans don't like kings, right? But on the other hand, look at the political chaos we are in. All this to say that there is a kingdom. There's a true kingdom. And it's really ruled by Christ on the cross in the gospel. And he tells Pilate, my kingdom's not of this world. Even though it's not of this world, it is in this world. And it's the most beautiful thing in this whole world. Because God reigns in the hearts of his people, not by violence, not by coercion, not by power, at least earthly power, but through love, as it passes from the hearts of one person to the next. And this is the biggest kingdom in the world. It spreads out everywhere. We're all united in God's kingdom of love and worship. And we have a king. I just love the idea of being under a king. It's King Jesus. He's the righteous king. And I'm so glad that there's no democracy in heaven. Oh, you have to vote, right? No. You see, when we have Jesus our King, we learn to call him Lord. We bend the knee and we say, not my will, but your will be done in this earth. Anyways, I just was rambling here, and I'm just hoping it all comes together by Sunday. See you then.